Okay, the Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein saga is getting a little bit crazy, and that birthday note that he sent seems like it could possibly be the reason why Maureen Comey was fired. But this is just my opinion, so let's get into it. I'm sure by now we have all heard about Donald Trump's note that he is trying to sue over, claiming that it's fake for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday. There's a lot of things surrounding this whole Jeffrey Epstein situation that don't make sense, including this birthday note. As you can see, before that article was released by the Wall Street Journal on Thursday, they actually interviewed Donald Trump on Tuesday, and he denied that he wrote the letter or drew the picture, and he threatened to sue the newspaper if they published the story. 2 days later is when the Wall Street Journal would publish this story about this birthday letter. And this right here is a thing that a lot of people aren't thinking about. Where did this note come from all of the sudden? How did it get out to the media for them to be able to see it and report on it? Well, the Wall Street Journal actually said that this album full of birthday notes for Jeffrey Epstein was part of documents that were examined by the Justice Department, who investigated Jeffrey Epstein several years ago. One of those people working for the Justice Department would have been Maureen Comey, who was one of the prosecutors on the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell case. And baby, y'all know me, this is where I start connecting the dots. So we know on Tuesday, the Wall Street Journal interviewed Donald Trump about this Jeffrey Epstein birthday note. And this is 2 days before they published the story. On Wednesday is when Maureen Comey was fired by either Donald Trump or Pam Bondi. And like I said a couple days ago, her firing had absolutely nothing to do with Diddy. I know a lot of people's minds were going that way, but it's a lot bigger than just Diddy. Her firing had everything to do with being on the Epstein case. And then on Thursday is when the Wall Street Journal would actually publish the story the day after Maureen Comey was fired. And Maureen Comey on Thursday also came out with a memo to her fellow colleagues that is quite telling. In Maureen Comey's memo, she said, "Every person lucky enough to work in this office constantly hears 4 words to describe our ethos: without fear or favor. Do the right thing the right way for the right reasons, without fear of retribution and without fear of the powerful. We don't fear bad press. We have the luxury of exceptional security keeping us safe. And as long as we did our work with integrity, we would get to keep serving the public in this office. Our focus was really on acting without favor. That is, making sure people with access, money, and power were not treated differently than anyone else, and making sure this office remained separate from politics and focused only on the facts and the law. If a career prosecutor can be fired without reason, fear may seep into the decisions of those who remain. Fear is the tool of a tyrant, wielded to suppress independent thought. Instead of fear, let this moment fuel the fire that already burns at the heart of this place. A fire of righteous indignation at abuses of power, of commitment to seek justice for victims, of dedication to the truth above all else." Based off Maureen Comey's statements and based off the timeline that we are seeing, it seems like Donald Trump was mad that this album that included an alleged note by him for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday upset him, and it could possibly be the reason why Maureen Comey was fired. Because we now know, based on how she was fired, it either is coming from Donald Trump or it's coming from someone like Pam Bondi. At that point, it's like 2 in the same already anyway. But I've been saying the whole way that they're acting like there isn't anybody else involved with Epstein, it's just crazy. Another person that I thought was really interesting that came up once again, because I'm from Ohio, in this album of birthday notes was Lex Wexner. Lex Wexner wrote a short message that said, "I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is." And after that text was a drawing which appeared to be of a woman's upper area. You know anything about Jeffrey Epstein, one of the things that he would say to procure his victims was that he was going to get them jobs working as Victoria's Secret models. Virginia also talked about how she was given to Lex Wexner multiple times in her 2016 deposition, as well as another man who was involved in the modeling industry, Gene Burnell, who Virginia also accused in that 2016 deposition of being given to multiple times. And also hearing Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell talk about having thousands of girls from this man, who was later arrested and charged for trafficking young girls and was later found Epstein in his cell. Now, when you go back through that little black book that they just released again, even though we already had this information, you can see here certain names throughout this whole entire document are circled. I always thought while reading this, they were probably circled by Jeffrey Epstein, who kept this book, but now I'm pretty sure that these names were being circled by the feds. As you can see, Lex Wexner is circled here. You also have Donald Trump's name being circled here. You also had Gene Burnell's name circled throughout this book, but on the last page, they also write certain things. As you can see, Gene Burnell, scout for young females, Karen models. His name has 3 stars next to it. So at this point, I really wonder if the firings had to do with people getting nervous, because we've heard lately that they have been trying to sort through these documents with certain documents not added in. It's kind of very clear just based on the little black book and how they circled and starred different things throughout it. For some reason, they were looking into certain people in this book. We know one of the people who was doing this and prosecuting the Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein cases was Maureen Comey. And honestly, you know what they say, the truth is usually stranger than fiction. I don't know, these are just my thoughts, but y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.